What's up, y'all? This is Wax. Yes. Wax's podcast, episode 83. That was a jingle brought to you by my man, Jake Honoraw, former trumpet player of my old band, McGregor. And you wouldn't know that by listening to podcast, I believe it was podcast 80 or whatever podcast a couple episodes ago that I mentioned all the members of my band, because I didn't even mention my good friend Jake. I mentioned every single other person that had ever been in the band but Jake, and that just goes to show you, I think it's a very telling sign that, you know, you move out here to Hollywood, years go by, and you become just a completely self-absorbed prick, and you forget who your real friends are, and you even forget to mention them when you're mentioning all the people in your band. And I mentioned people in the band that I really didn't know more than Jake, or definitely was not as good of friends with as Jake, and I failed to mention Jake's name, and I feel like a dick for that. I feel like a big, fat, prick, asshole, whatever you want to call me for that, and I'm sorry, Jake, if you're listening to this, man. I don't know what to say. There's no excuse. There's no turning back time and telling you that I forgot, there's no turning back time. I forgot about you. If me and you were in Vietnam together, I would have left you behind. The Viet Cong, Charlie, as they used to call him back in the day. I just watched a bunch of Vietnam documentaries. Not that I didn't know that they called them the Viet Cong and Charlie before I watched the documentaries, but, I recently watched the fucking documentaries. Anyway, I would have left Jake behind. I'd be in the helicopter and they'd be like, wait a second, we still left Jake there. He's down there. Charlie's closing in on him. We think they have about 100 men closing in on just Jake. We still have time to save him, but it's going to be risky. And I would have probably been the one and been like, who? You sure that wasn't one of them? No, man, I'm sorry, Jake. Man, that was a real dick move of me not to mention your name, man. But, Jake was a valued member of the band. Not only did he contribute to the trumpet playing, background vocals, singing, and overall morale of our band at that time, but he was an exceptional friend. His moral compass is spot on, and he's just a good dude overall, and we should kick it sometime soon, even though you live far away from me, and, it is what it is, man. I'm very sorry about that. So this is Wax's podcast, episode 83. I know what you guys are thinking. Some of you guys are thinking, why are you even doing a podcast? Why don't you just get back to making music? Some of you are thinking, why were you gone for 2 weeks in a row? And I'll tell you why. I've been making music for one. So, if I get a vibe, catch a vibe, man, and I don't want to fucking stop, I can't stop to make the podcast necessarily, even though it doesn't really take that long to make a podcast. Let's be real. Let's be honest with each other here. It's an honest podcast. I'm an open book. There's nothing for me to hide. I've said whatever I had to say on this podcast before. Why would I stop now? I've been fucking up too. That being said, I'm back on the booze, as they say. And this past weekend was a good time to be back on the booze because I went to a bachelor party in Las Vegas for my friend Vic, an old friend of mine, and had a good time. My friend Vic, whose bachelor party it was, he was pretty drunk the whole time, so I feel like I barely even saw him, like, quote, saw him, unquote, because his eyes were kind of a little glazy most of the time, and he seemed like kind of like he wasn't all there for most of the time that I was there. And, I kept it pretty low-key, to be honest with you. I was a good boy. And besides doing that, I've been finishing my album, or mixtape, or project, or whatever you want to call it. I should still be out by like late April. Got a bunch of songs. A bunch of them are finished. Some of them are almost finished. I was working on one even before I did this podcast. Considered not doing it. Considered just making it, instead of labeling it as debauchery, labeling it as irresponsibility, I'd like to just name it or label it as mysteriousness. Mysteriosity? Is that a word? Mysteriosity. It should be if it's not. I'm a mysterious dude. I haven't been very active on social media. I kind of did that on purpose. I'm kind of sick of actually looking at my Instagram and Twitter all the time, Facebook, seeing what's going on, seeing if I want to say anything. And I've kind of just been off it for a while. Hopefully I'll get back on it soon and give my take on certain things, give my promotional tweets, promotional Instagram posts, things of that nature, and let you guys know what's going on in my world. But, I think that's kind of, that whole thing is kind of what's lost us as human beings. It's sent us on the wrong path. It's, in my opinion, been a setback as far as our happiness is concerned as the human race, as a race of human beings on the earth. That yet again, I'm saying the same thing twice in a different way. But hey, let's be real here. We're all Americans, unless you're not an American and you're just a human being from another part of the planet. Not this country that I'm residing in, living in, from. Let's be honest. What the fuck am I talking about? So the beautiful thing that happened to me this week was I had a chance to hang out with my family. My lovely parents visited San Diego, and when I got back from the debauchery, which was Las Vegas, my brother attended that as well. So me and him drove up there from San Diego. Debauchery ensued, and then we drove back, and it was great to hang out with him, man. Some of the best times that I had was just being in the car, me and my brother. He's my twin brother. We used to kick it all the time as kids. We don't get a chance to as much. And when I do hang out with him, I'm kind of like hanging out with him and his two kids. So it's not like we're just chilling. On the way up there, we were listening to beats and freestyling and just bullshitting and talking about God knows what, So it was a great time. And when I got back, my parents had crossed the country like the old settlers that they are. And they made their way to San Diego, and I spent a couple days with them too. So that was amazing. Good catching up with them, and it was just really cool being with, I was with my brother, his kids, his wife, my mom, and my dad. And besides my sister and her kid, my whole family, my whole immediate family at least, was in the building. And there's nothing that makes you feel better than being around your family. And as I've mentioned on this podcast before, to move to wherever you got to move, for many people it's Los Angeles, to move here and try to pursue your dreams, you got to give up some things, and one of the things that you give up is being around your family a lot. And you don't necessarily realize. I wrote a song about this, actually. It'll be my album too, which you can get on fucking April 26th at fucking Tower Records, like Tower Records and Sam Goody. But no, one of the things you don't realize until maybe even after the fact, after you've been here for damn near 10 years, is how much value it really has in your life to spend time with your family. You look back and you realize how much you've lost, and when you're spending those moments with them, you're like, damn. It really makes you question why you left in the first place. And I think the only saving grace when you're doing this music shit, for example, is that, there's a selfishness in it, but there's also an unselfishness in it. I receive mad emails from people that listen to my music and say that, it really helped them. It made them feel better about their situation. Maybe they were depressed and they got through their day by listening to one of my songs. So in that way, being an artist is kind of unselfish, second-handedly, if that's even the right term to use. Yeah. I just totally lost my train of thought. My brain, man. My brain is shrinking. Either that or just the cells within it are dying. And I'm losing the ability to keep my train of thought going on the tracks for more than a stop or two. So, yeah, it was just great to see my parents and great to see my family, and you realize that you really do lose a lot in your life when you give that up. It's something that's intangible, an intangible thing that you're giving up when you pursue your dreams by moving far, far away. And I look back and wonder what life would have been, or if I would have been happier or not if I would have been around them. It's It's actually funny. It's not only do you miss the opportunity to kick it with your parents or your sister, your brother, whoever it may be, but I think being away from them even makes you kind of forget how much you should appreciate them. We went out to dinner this past Monday night in San Diego. Me and my brother and his kids and my parents went out to dinner. We went to this pizza restaurant called Ogie's Pizza in Point Loma, which is a little district of San Diego. And my dad, we were just talking about, parenting and parenthood in general. And my dad was talking about a time period when me and Chris were probably like 10 years old. And he was talking about, it becomes like he gets home from work, and on Tuesday night, he'll take us to like basketball practice. On Wednesday night, he might take my sister somewhere. On Thursday night, he'll take me to a guitar lesson. On Friday night, my brother used to teach drum lessons, and he'll take him like somewhere where he had to drive a half an hour to do that. And I don't really realize, I know for a fact that I don't really appreciate those things. So my parents listen to this, so Dad, I'm sorry that I didn't appreciate those things. And looking back on it, I think that a lot of people don't fully appreciate their parents. And I was really lucky, man. As many things might go wrong, as many things might go right, I was really blessed to, I have them. Even still to this day, my mom and my dad are still together, which is pretty rare, especially amongst anybody these days. But people I know, mostly they're, if not somebody died, they're broken up or they didn't ever see their dad. So I was a really lucky person growing up. And sometimes I think I fail to realize it. So I don't know. That's that. That's where I'm going with that. And I had a great time down there. Sorry if I'm being a little slow. I think when you don't podcast for a couple weeks, you lose it, You don't have the quickness, the sharpness that you used to have. Saying quick things, bam, said that. Boom, said this, So today I was at a diner. Table for one, that's what I do. So I was at a diner today. I went to the dentist, which is on the west side near Santa Monica. I love my dentist. Love it. My dentist that I go to now, that I've been going to for the past couple of years, every single person that works there is a female. And to anybody out there, I recommend it. Find a dental office that's all females. It's so much better. It's so much more motherly. I feel like they care more. Maybe it's just something in my head. I don't know. But I swear the dental hygienist and the dentist, and even the people that work at the front desk, I just feel like they care. They're either that or they're really good actors, and I don't give a fuck. I thought Al Pacino was Scarface. If you're a good actor, I'll take it. I'll be fooled. I love being fooled. So anyway, it was great. I recommend anybody out there, if you got a dentist, switch to a fucking female dentist because it's just better. Anyway, after I got out the dentist, no cavities. But still, like, my teeth aren't in the greatest shape, but they're not in the worst shape. I feel like I don't floss enough. So I had definitely some buildup, some tartar. I got out, and this is just a story I wanted to tell. I just thought it was funny. I was in the diner over there in Santa Monica, a place called Coogie's Diner, and I sat at the fucking bar. It wasn't a bar like they serve alcohol, like a diner bar. You know what I mean? Kind of place where a trucker goes. A lonely man trying to get an omelet sits down, orders a coffee. That was me this morning. And I was sitting there, I was eating my tuna melt. Yes, I ordered a tuna melt. I walked in there, and I was actually thinking I was going to order a salad. I'm trying to get back on my health shit, y'all. And I was going to order a salad, but I walked in there, and as strange as this may sound, I was overwhelmed by the smell of tuna, like tuna salad. Like like the tuna that you would have on a fucking tuna melt. And I was like, damn, strangely enough, that smells really good right now. So I sat down and I ordered a water and a coffee, and I asked the lady, I said, what do people order the most around here? And she said, actually, our most popular item is the tuna melt. And I was like, I am not surprised. My sense of smell is pretty fucking, what's the word for if you have an accurate sense of smell? I don't know. Fucking dog-like. Basset Hound-esque. So I was like, you know what? I don't mean to follow the crowd. I don't mean to give in to peer pressure. But you know what? I'm going to have a tuna melt my damn self. So I had a tuna melt. And while I was sitting there eating my tuna melt with a side of salad, I didn't get the fries. A large lady walked in. I was really close to like where the hostess area is. And a rather large lady walked in by herself. And as she's walking in, the Asian lady, I don't know why I said she's Asian. She just was Asian. Don't know why I mentioned it. Didn't have to. Didn't have to really mention I had to mention that the lady was large. But the hostess, who was Asian, not large, skinny, she said, "Hey, how are you?" And as she was still walking, the large lady said, "Hungry." Like she walked in a restaurant and was greeted with a "How are you?" and she said, "Hungry." Like fucking sit me down and throw a plate in my face. I don't know. You had this maybe it was a had to be there, but just picture it. Close your eyes right now and just picture as if you were sitting you're sitting in a bar drinking your coffee, eating a tuna melt. Ahead of you are people cooking frantically. To your right are people eating, and to your left is the hostess bar in front of a double glass door as if you were at a Denny's or an IHOP or wherever you may be. You know what I mean? Somebody walks in, the double glass door is open, and as they close behind her, she's waddling her way towards the hostess desk. The hostess, while lifting a menu, says, "Hey, how are you?" And as she still is heading forward with all the force she can muster, she says, "Hungry." And I swear to God, she had that Simpsons aunt voice. So that's my story for today. I thought it was funny. It made me chuckle inside. I didn't chuckle outwardly. Because that would be offensive if I would have done that. I guess it's offensive that I'm telling the story, but I'm pretty sure she's not listening. So that happened. I was in Las Vegas this weekend. I wish I had a better story to tell you, but to be dead honest with you, it was pretty tame. My boy Vic was so fucked up that we were kind of, to be honest with you, babysitting a little bit for most of Saturday. We didn't want to go too far because we didn't know what he was going to do. So we spent a lot of time we had a suite at the Hard Rock Hotel, and the weather wasn't that great either, so we actually spent a lot of time just kicking it in the suite and drinking and talking and laughing. And that was that goes along with the thing I was saying at the beginning of the podcast when I was talking about Jake, who I neglected to mention. I think that also being out here pursuing your selfish dreams just kind of makes you forget about how fucking dope friendship is. Some of these people I was with, my boy Dave, my boy AK. I got two friends named AK. One of them is an older friend from Maryland, and one of them it's both really good friends. One of them lives out here. But my old friend AK, my old friend Dave, my old friend Vic, you forget how fun it is and how cool it is just to hang out and talk to your friends. I spent a lot of time by myself. I spent a lot of time working, making music. And, there's something to be said about people that have been your friends for a long time. Those people, when you see, you give like a really good hug to and be like, "Damn, man, I missed you," and you mean it, And I had a lot of that this week, and I had a lot of that with family and friends. So I'm in good spirits, feeling great, and I'm ready to continue working now that I'm back in LA. And I got a lot of, I feel good about my work too. I got a lot of good songs. I haven't been putting out shit, but I've been working on shit. I have a new video already shot, some rap bars type shit. I'm gonna hold up on putting that out until I have some more. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to drop, a bunch of content at the same time as far as music goes. So hopefully that'll all work out. I think it will because I got some good shit already. So a bunch of good shit. So hopefully you guys will like it. And if you don't, suck my balls. Let's get into some questions and shout-outs. All right. Okay. Shout-outs. What the fuck just happened? Where'd this go? All right, Dominic O, who recommends Trombone Shorty. I would recommend Trombone Shorty as well. Dope musician out of New Orleans. Made his way up the ranks, and he's a bad motherfucker. Randy Elizabeth, who recommends the song The Actress by Built to Fade. Well, let me tell you something, Randy Elizabeth. I listened to that song, and I really enjoyed it. So I hope you guys do, too. And if you do, let Randy Elizabeth know. You may not know how to get in touch with her, but figure it out. Joanna in Poland. What's up, Joanna? We got Ed from Chicago. We got Callum Eastham, or Eastham, however you pronounce that. Mike, the security guard in the UK who has no authority. We got Geoff, Chris M, Robert C. Of course, we have Sanch the Haunch. Another shout out going to Heskey. We got Anthony from Ireland. Teddy O from SD, that's San Diego, who recommends Bassam G. That's a San Diego area rapper. God, I can't talk today. It's interesting. It's spelled just like the YouTube star Kasim G, but with a B. I don't know if that's just a coincidence or if he was like, yo, I'll be like Kasim G, but like we got mad bass. Bassam G? Bassam G. B-A-S-S-E-M-G. All right, let's start with this. Let me start by saying I respect you guys. The next two email, I can't talk today. I can't today. I can't today. Let me start by saying I respect you guys. The next two emails I'm about to read, I respect the writers of these emails very much. They're Philadelphians, and they have a lot of pride in a certain food product. First one's from Jack D. Yo, Wax. Dude, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. I cringe every time you mention it. There's no fucking way that a small shop in North Hollywood has a better cheesesteak than here in Philly. You were going to the wrong places, dude. Pat's and Geno's are the classics, obviously. Their shit changed, though, and now their cheesesteaks aren't considered to be anything good. Talk of the town, Tony Luke's, Jim's. Next time you're in Philly, you got to go to one of those. They're the kings. And come back to the Troc while you're at it. Jack D. Well, thanks, man. I would love to come back to the Troc. I'm sure I probably will. Next email's from Dookie Brains. Before I take a hot, steamy fucking shit on you, I want to say I've been a fan of yours for like 5 years. But as a kid from Philly, I can agree that Pat's and Geno's suck horse dick and is literally the epitome of shit on a plate, and I hate the fact that those two places are like the mascot of Philly cheesesteak restaurants, and the people only go there when they come to Philly to eat a cheesesteak. Well, they might be the epitome of shit on a plate, but that was the epitome of a run-on sentence. Let me tell you that, Dookie Brains. Next time you come to Philly, and this is still the sentence, it was a comma, not a period. Next time you come to Philly, go to Jim's in South Philly and order a cheesesteak. If you eat there and still shit on cheesesteaks, then I honestly don't even know what the fuck. I read that like that because it's in capitals. And let me tell you something. Let me start by saying this. Both Dookie Brains and Jack D, especially you, Dookie Brains, because you said, and I quote, go to Jim's in South Philly and order a cheesesteak. If you eat there and still shit on cheesesteaks, then I honestly don't even know what the fuck, end quote. Well, go to my Instagram. Probably about 3 years ago, maybe 2, you might see a picture of me eating a cheesesteak. And you might even see a sign in the background of that picture, same picture, right behind my fucking big head, that says Jim's. I've eaten at Jim's. And let me tell you something about Jim's. Better than Pat's, better than Geno's. Not as good as the place that I ate at in North Hollywood. Not as good as, what the fuck is that place called? On Melrose, which makes it even worse. It's like, yeah, there's a better one on Melrose. Yeah. The Melgard. Shout out to my man, EOM. EOM knows what the fuck I'm talking about. We used to always go to the Melgard when we lived over there and got their cheesesteak. Now, granted, their cheesesteak was a little unorthodox. I'll give you that. I appreciate the fact that a Philly cheesesteak sticks to its roots. It doesn't add a bunch of other weird sauces and shit on there. And the Melgard did have like this interesting, like almost somewhat marinara-ish sauce that made it really delicious. But the steak on there as well made it delicious. I mean, it was just like more like steak than like steakum, which is what you get from Pat's and Geno's. Now to you, Jack D, you're saying that there's no fucking way that a small shop in North Hollywood has a better cheesesteak than here in Philly. I know I've talked about cheesesteaks way too much on this podcast, but I'm only defending myself against these emails. Now, what is it about Philadelphia that makes them have a better cheesesteak than anywhere else? Can I not get Cheese Whiz here? Can I not get a fucking old, shitty, untoasted, no love with spice or butter or garlic or anything on it whatsoever piece of fucking bread here off Magnolia in North Hollywood? Is that impossible to find? Because I guess I was mistaken. I didn't know that they only make those on fucking South Street. I didn't know that I had to go to Philadelphia to get a shitty piece of bread, a steakum, and Cheese Whiz. I didn't realize that was only available in the beautiful city that I love. I love, man. You can listen to fucking interviews I've done. My favorite fucking place to play is Philadelphia. I've said that in the past, man. You can go to several fucking interviews. I ain't shitting on Philadelphia. I love the people of Philadelphia. Love doing shows in Philadelphia. Love staying in Philadelphia. I love partying in Philadelphia. Don't think I ain't been to the Republican. Don't think I ain't been to the Republican late night after hours in fucking South Philly, motherfucker. Don't even fucking say that I haven't been there, because I have. Love partying in Philadelphia. But the cheesesteak, it's not like crabs in Maryland. It's not like crabs in Seattle. It's not like sushi in Japan. It's not like lobsters in Maine. You can get a fucking quality cheesesteak anywhere. As a matter of fact, I would argue, when was the last time you saw a fresh fucking cow walking around the streets in Philly? Does Pat's and Geno's have a pasture in their backyard where they grow cheese and fucking slaughter cows? I highly think not. As a matter of fact, I'd be willing to wager you could get a much fresher cheesesteak in like Wisconsin, the state where they have mad cheese and mad farms. The fucking home of the best steaks, Oklahoma, Omaha. I bet you there's a fucking... All right, there's a little audio problem, but what I was about to say, I bet you there's a good-ass fucking cheesesteak in Omaha, Nebraska. Another great American town, by the way. All right, well, it looks like I'm getting errors on my fucking computer now. I'll probably get another one shortly. I know how these things work. It's a computer. It doesn't all of a sudden get better. It has the same problems over and over again. But I'm going to have to start doing this podcast a different way, man. I can't believe I have this computer and I'm still getting these errors. I know that I have to the playback engine is the problem, but it shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a fucking problem. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Am I talking about cheesesteaks again? Listen, Jack D, Dookie Brains, I respect it. I respect the shit out of the Philadelphian pride that you guys have, and I know that you guys love your cheesesteaks, and I don't mean to diss you. I know that some people might get, it's like dissing somebody's sports team, man. I don't mean to go hard on the shit, but let's like take a really deep look at what these things are. Take a deep look at what the fucking cheesesteak is. I could say the same thing about a lot of Chicago foods. But the fact is, a lot of people make cheesesteaks. Chicago deep dish pizza, you might not find that everywhere. Memphis style barbecue, you find in Memphis. You can make barbecue anywhere. But there's certain towns that have better barbecue because they have their own local thing. But because of the fact that Philadelphia cheesesteaks are so fucking simple and so basic, it really doesn't take much to replicate that. And I'm gonna take as I said when I emailed him back, I haven't been to Talk of the Town. I haven't been to Tony Luke's. And as I said on a recent podcast, I had a really good cheesesteak. So I'm not totally against the Philadelphia cheesesteak. I had a really good one here in Hollywood. And when I go back to Philly, which I undoubtedly will, I'll try Tony Luke's. I'll try Talk of the Town. I give 2 more chances. I'm giving 2 more chances. You got 1 strike, even though you really have 3 strikes for Pat's, Geno's, and Jim's. I'm going to make this like you're a little league baseball fucking tyke. I'm going to give you 5 strikes. I got 2 more. And if I have a good Philly cheesesteak, the next one out of the next 2 times I'm in Philly, I'm going to try one both times. Because I think the last time I didn't even get one. I was just like, fuck this. I got Chinese food in Chinatown, which was delicious, by the way. But you don't see me saying like, oh, you can't get Chinese food in some other place like you can get here. It's only Chinatown, Philadelphia. You can get here. Only place they have this kind of chicken. General So lives here in Chinatown. But, yeah, so that's my take on that. And I'm going to stick to it as much as I can. Let's move on here and not talk about cheesesteaks. This one's from Aaron James. Wax, how are you? I have good news. I took your advice very seriously and applied for work in California, and I was offered work as a foster care counselor in Redding. Well, congratulations, Mr. James. I got the job. I'm out here. I got a place. I hardly had a clue where the fuck I was going to be living, but I managed to find an awesome house with rooms for rent on the low. I'm out here, all caps, and I thank you for your response to my initial email. The dream is beginning to manifest. Next up, I plan on seeing you perform live, dude. Can't wait for your next tour. Keep being a dope, inspirational individual. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Question for the podcast. Would you ever consider becoming an amateur wrestler for the hell of it? If so, what would your name/shtick be? I saw a match last night in Reading, and a guy in the show asked if I wanted in. I have to say I love acting and performing for fun, so I thought, why not? Then it got me thinking about what my character would be. Would you and Herbs be a twin tag team? Would you be a villain, hero, or underdog? Peace, brother. Aaron James. Interesting. First of all, congratulations to you for not only moving out to California like you wanted to do, get a job like you want to do, and find a cheap place like you wanted to do. You're already going to local amateur wrestling matches? Like, that's pretty amazing, man. Like, you're, like, in the culture, the local culture. I didn't know that. Like, I wouldn't know how the fuck to find an amateur wrestling match. I don't know where those things are. Is that in somebody's backyard? Is that like is that like backyard wrestling, or is that like just like a smaller venue? Like, I don't know much about wrestling, to be honest with you. I haven't watched it since I was really young, but let me address your question. First question, would I ever consider being an amateur wrestler for the hell of it? No. I wouldn't consider that because, A, it seems like pretty dangerous. You hurt your back pretty easily, and I've had a couple back problems in my life. B, I don't have the physique or strength for it. And if I was going to develop that physique and strength, I probably would use it in a different way besides being an amateur wrestler. And C, there is no C. I just thought since I said A and B, it would really make things complete if I had a C. So that's what my C is. If so, what would your name/shtick be? Well, I'm going to combine this with your last question of, like, would you be a villain, hero, or underdog? I didn't know that was a third thing, but I think I remember when I watched wrestling, I don't know if it's still like this, and this isn't amateur wrestling, but pro wrestling would have, like, the big matches where, like, the big name guys would fight each other, but then, like, when they had just their weekly events, you might see a big name guy just fight, like, so I guess some guy that was just still in the lower ranks, and his name, it'd be like fucking, I don't know, Hulk Hogan versus, like, James Tisselberg, you know? And, like, it'd just be basically just, like, Hulk Hogan just beating the shit out of somebody, and James Tisselberg was just really good at taking a fall. It's kind of like when the fucking U.S. basketball team back in the day would play smaller countries. I know it's not like that anymore, and they lose sometimes. But, you know, it'd be like the old U.S. Dream Team versus Nicaragua, you know? So I would be Nicaragua. I'd be James Tisselberg. I think I'd just take a fall, get my check, and call it a day. And whatever girl couldn't fuck Hulk Hogan, she'd be like, oh, I guess I got to fuck James Tisselberg. I'd be like, all right, girl, I got a room at the Econo Lodge. Let's do this. Don't mind the fact that the Wrestling Federation couldn't afford to have my own room, so I'm sharing it with Tim Messelrod. You know, if you would have fucked the Hulk, you would have had the penthouse suite. But hey, Better luck next time. Get a tighter yellow shirt that you rip off in front of the Hawk. I don't know. So he said, what else did he say? Would me and Herbs be a twin tag team? Definitely when we were kids and we watched wrestling, those were the teams that we looked up to. Those were the teams that we wanted to be. Me and my brother, we did everything together as a kid. So I remember I don't remember the names of the teams, man. And if I did, it'd probably be like some fucking old shit that y'all wouldn't even have heard of. But we always liked the tag team things, and when we played video games, we always liked to play games that were like you're like a team, or play against each other 1-on-1. But we always liked stuff where there was two players. Yeah, so I don't know what my character would be. I'd like to see a janitor, man. I'd like to see a wrestler. Maybe there's already been one, but I'd like to see a guy walk up there, walk down the aisle just with a mop. And you just think he's some guy mopping the aisle. When he gets up there, he takes off his fucking shirt, and he's just, it sounds so gay, but he takes off his shirt and he throws his mop to the side, and then all of a sudden he's just like this fucking badass janitor guy. And he leaves his rolling trash can on the side of the ring, and when he throws you out of the ring, you fucking land in it. And it's like, oh, the janitor, he's taking out the trash. And then he fucking picks up the thing, and he takes you to the top rope, and he doesn't just throw you off the top rope. He picture when you empty a trash can into a dumpster, that move you make when your left hand is on the rim of the trash can and your right hand's on the bottom, and you just move it like that. He just fucking tosses you like that. Actually, he tosses you like that back into the ring. And he's taking out the trash. That's the thing they always say. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I got to say about that, Aaron. And to all you out there that think I fucking wrote down that janitor thing, I certainly did not. What is this? What up, oh, fuck. Oh, this is from Tommy. That's it, Tommy. Not Tommy with it. Usually on this podcast, somebody got a last initial or from wherever they're from, but this is just straight up Tommy. So I like to think it's the Who's Tommy, the pinball wizard. What up, Wax? Hope things are good. I don't even know if that's the right character, but on a recent, that's fitting considering this email. On a recent podcast, you started singing Steve Miller's Take the Money and Run. This reminded me of something I have been thinking lately. The 70s was a particularly good time for rock music. There were a lot of good songs and a lot of great playing on some of those records. When I flip to the classic rock station and hear a Eagles, Steely Dan, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath song, I'm amazed at how good it sounds. I know that both you and your brother are good players, so I wanted your take on it. Keep up the good work. To say that my brother's a great bass player. I'm not really a good player at anything. I can play the guitar, but I'm definitely not good. I used to be good. Anywho. Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I think this is my take on it, man. Back in the 70s, even in the 80s and 90s, it was different than today. Today, when you make music, it's all done in the computer, and it's all done in this way where you can piece things together. You make things in segments, and you make things in loops. And, if you hear somebody go back into the chorus, it's, fucking 99 times out of 100, if you hear a song nowadays and there's a verse, then a chorus, then a verse, then a chorus, then a verse, then a chorus, when you hear the chorus, it's just they did the chorus once and then they pasted it throughout the song. And now back in those days, they didn't have the technology to do that. So every time you heard a take, it was unique. If that shit happened 3 times in the song, they had to sing it 3 times. If somebody played a guitar solo, you didn't, nowadays, you can play 10 versions of 100 guitar solos, and they'll just listen to every single take. And that goes with vocals, guitar solos, anything, any instrument. And they just piece it together, and you actually, create your solo in post-production. And that's the common way of doing things nowadays, where back in the day, you just had to get it in one take. You might do 100 takes, but you just keep the good one. And I feel like there's a way... because of that, not only did you have to really be able to sing or really be able to play to be on those records. This really holds true for the 50s and 60s, too. In the Motown era, you couldn't walk into a studio and expect to sing something if you couldn't fucking sing the whole song through. You didn't punch in. The whole band played the whole fucking song. The mics were all set up. You might punch in for things like backup vocals or horn parts or something, but... even that then wasn't till If you've ever seen Ray, you've seen when they first were doing that. It must have been like 1950 or maybe even the late 40s. I don't remember exactly when that multi-track recording was invented, but either way, like, you still had to get the take right. And nowadays you can kind of fake it. I mean, especially with vocals. And yeah, I do say especially. I've been noticing myself all the time saying that. But especially with vocals. You know, not only can if you're early or late, they can just push it to the left or push it to the right. But if you're sharp or flat, they can use the auto-tune to fix it. I mean, I could really walk into a booth and say whatever I want, and a really, really good engineer could kind of take that and turn it into almost anything. So that's where a lot of the magic is now. A lot of the magic is in engineering. So I see what you're saying, man. As far as it sounding good, quote-unquote good, that really depends on what your take is. Because, you know, some of those Sabbath songs, they didn't really necessarily sound good, but, like, it's just, you know, music is an emotion. And there was an emotion in some of those old Sabbath songs. You know, you have Steely Dan in your list, which is actually completely different than Sabbath as far as, like, you know, Steely Dan's sound was really polished. And I think they're actually a great example of, like, to be in Steely Dan, you had to be one of the best performers and the best players on your instrument in the world. I'm sure you had to audition amongst thousands of people to even be in that band. And, like, if you made a mistake, you're probably fucking out, you know? They had such a glossy sound. It was pretty amazing. And I think a lot of that stuff is because of technology, you know, today. And I'm not saying a loop can't have tons of soul and tons of feeling. I mean, I use loops in all my shit, and that's what hip-hop is. But, you know, there's definitely something to be said for playing the whole song all the way through. And, like, the subtlety, which is, there's subtleties in feeling. You know, there's subtleties in the emotion you have as you build up towards the end of the song. Even if you're playing the same thing on guitar, technically, you know, it's gonna be a little bit more emotion in it if you're playing the whole song through and you have a different vibe rather than just, like, pasting a 4-bar loop throughout the whole song into the end and then maybe at the end adding some stuff on top of it. It's still not the same thing as, like, playing it through with a different emotion, man. Different fucking emotion, man. Straight to tape. What do we got here? All right. This one's from Craze. What up, Craze? Been knowing Craze for a minute. Craze is an LA guy. He is now in the Navy, as you will find out from this email. I know I've read emails from him before. Used to work at Sam Ash right there on Sunset. Didn't give me a fucking discount, though, so I was fucking with you. I think he might actually did give me a discount, to tell you the truth. I was just fucking with him right there. All right, Wax. Hope all is well, man. Seems like every podcast you're talking about depression and shit. Just remember, quote, pussy, I'm at UPS working wearing these brown shorts. Hey, that's some real shit. LOL, but in all seriousness, I am counting the days until I leave for Japan. March 16th I leave and March 18th I'm in Atsugai. I'm still getting used to the idea of being away from the States for an extended amount of time. God bless the armed forces. In my case, the Navy. Not being sarcastic, I love what I do. Anyway, I do pride myself on not repeating questions. My question is, what is your take on the word hipster? I was recently on a road trip with my iPod on shuffle, and this conversation transpired. Friend 1. We went from metal to classical to rap to punk rock. Weirdest playlist I've ever heard. Friend 2. Yeah. Oh, you just love being diverse music. I think A, you just love being a diverse musically right. What? Being diverse musically. Oh, you just love being diverse musically, right, hipster? Come on, Crazy. You got to add a couple fucking. Everything was so perfect. Your fucking punctuation was so perfect, but that one, you know, whatever. It's me, man. It's fucking me. What followed was a deep conversation on music. I consider myself to be open-minded to all music. I grew up on hip-hop, rap, reggae, funk, R&B, and oldies. My junior year of high school, I was recommended System of a Down. And after that, it was all downhill from there for any breed of music. Love System of a Down. Being called a hipster for having a weirdly diverse interest in music is strange to me. What's your take? I feel like the word hipster has taken its own life. I know what you mean by that, but for a second I thought you meant killed itself, taking its own life. Also, I recommend Mac Dre, specifically the song, quote, 42 Fake, unquote, to keep non-street smart kids from getting robbed. I've never heard that song. I honestly, like, I'm not from the Bay. I'm not from the Bay, player. So I don't really know Mac Dre like that. But I know everybody loves Mac Dre. I'll check that out, 42 Fake. So I guess it's a song about non-street kid, not to help people from not getting robbed. I could use that. And I also recommend any shoe brand's customizable webpage. I feel like so many people will pay hundreds of dollars to wear what other people wear when you can customize your own shit. My favorite being Vans and Converse. Yeah, that is pretty dope that you can do that. Well, I'm going to call a director's cut at this point. You take care of yourself. May 2015 be your bitch. Bless, Craze. Well, I appreciate that, Craze. I hope it is. And first and foremost, man, I wish you safe travels. March 16th is coming up. And I don't know where the fuck Atsugi is. I know it's in Japan because you told me that. And it does sound like a type of sushi. It sounds like something on a menu at a Japanese restaurant. But I wish you, hope everything. I hope everything goes well for you, man. I'm glad that you're going to Japan rather than the Middle East. So hopefully you won't see too much fucking craziness. And hopefully nothing goes down in the next couple of years while you're in the Navy that might make you, end up in harm's way, man. As far as your question, yeah, I guess the term hipster actually has a lot of different. God damn, I can't talk today. I sound like a fucking idiot. The term hipster has kind of a lot of different definitions, and I think that at this point, like when you walk around San Diego or when you walk around certain parts of eastern Los Angeles, there's actually a very specific type of hipster, and that type of hipster would actually be the opposite of what you're talking about. The type of hipster that I'm thinking about would not have a super eclectic list of genres of music that they listen to. They would listen to fucking hipster music. And hipster music is anything that can be found on certain hipster website blogs, which I don't even keep up with, so I don't know the names of them, but it used to be like Pitchfork. The shit that sounds like, I don't know, anything that's kind of in the vein of Radiohead or Bon Iver, or, I'm only saying those because those are bands that I know about. But I know a hipster type song when I hear one. That being said, it's a very hipster thing now to listen to trap music and certain kinds of just like ignorant hip hop and shit. And it's just like, it's kind of ironic, but kind of whatever. I don't know. But I know what you mean, being a musically diverse hipster, what your friend said. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think having a really closed mind about music, I would argue that there might be something wrong with that. I used to be that way. And I don't really know exactly what opened up my mind. I've always liked a lot of different genres, but until I was in like my 20s, I definitely had a lot of things that I just hated because I thought I was supposed to hate them. There was rock I liked, rap I liked, reggae I liked. I'm just reading your list. Funk I liked, R&B I liked, but there was certain shit that I just hated, and it tended to be like anything that was considered poppy or soft. But I've kind of gotten over all that, and I just take every song as its own individual entity and judge it as it may be. I'm really just I'm sounding like just a drunken idiot right now. My brain cells have just dwindled down. Like if my brain was like an hourglass with all the sands on the bottom, it had been flipped, and it's just a slow period of time, and the little opening in the middle represents all the brain cells that are dying due to just natural death, and dying due to me killing them with the use of substances. And as the years go by and the sands drop through that little hole in the middle of the hourglass, my brain, the cells, which are the sands on the top portion of that hourglass, just get smaller and smaller and smaller until they've gotten to a certain point, and they reached that point recently where I can't fucking speak. I can't fucking speak in complete sentences without at least stuttering or fucking up in some kind of way. So I'm going to try to, I don't know what I got to do, man. I got to do something. I got to get better. I got to get stronger. And I got to get wiser. I kind of wish Obama would stay the president longer, but at the same time, just because I think that his voice is so fun to say, but I think that Bill Clinton's actually might have been funner, and George Bush was maybe even the best. I can't do the impressions of those people, but I'm going to try to real quick. Well, look, the American people, we need to get more jobs. And the jobs they could create themselves. We need to create them. Whatever. How did Bush talk? How did little Bush talk? Well, that's if I could just use a redneck voice all of a sudden. Well, you fooled me once. You ain't gonna do it again. Let me tell you something. You can't. Well, there was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton gotta talk like this. We gotta beware of Russia. Goddamn, Bill Clinton and Obama kind of have a similar impersonation. Just like with Bill Clinton, with Obama, you gotta like do something different here in the back of your throat. You gotta kind of close down your jaw or whatever the fuck. Well, Bill Clinton, you gotta kind of have the same accent. All you gotta do is something like that. You open up the left side of your mouth, and just tell them like it is. I know none of those impressions are that good, but I hope that the next president is another person that has a funny fucking voice. And of course it will be. They all do. Once you see them for a long time, they just start to get funny. I don't even pay attention to politics now. I don't even know who the fuck is going to be running. But I did hear from somebody that it might be George Bush's brother, Jeb Bush. And I just want to say before this podcast ends, and I'm sorry, Crazy, if I didn't answer your hipster question fully, but I think you got my gist. How crazy would it be if it's George Bush is the president, then George Bush Jr. is the president, and then fucking Jeb Bush is the president? A father and two of his sons are all presidents. And then possibly Hillary Clinton, too, so it'd be a husband and wife. So if you guys think that we're all free and we have freedom of choice and we all have to vote because goddamn, you never know who could be president and all that shit, it's fucking bullshit. It's a fucking monarchy. Already had a father and son. There was something else with the Roosevelts too, but I can't remember how they were related. But if we had another son, like it was a father and two of his sons, and they all had became the United States president, you can't tell me that this is a democracy. You can't tell me that I mean, it's fucking bullshit, man. I mean, come on, man. It's fucking bullshit, man. Come on. Fuck. I don't know, man. What do you want me to do? I think I got to end this podcast. I think I got to give up. I think I got to not only... This ending this podcast right now would not be giving up while I'm ahead. This would be like if you were playing poker and you got all the way to the river bluffing and then somebody put you all in. And you really had already lost all your chips, but you still had like a couple and you folded. That's what I'm doing right now. Be safe out there.